Welcome to the Beauties podcast, where we talk about everything you need to know about women's sports. From the grassroots to the pros, we got it all. Today on the show, Erica Rieder talks how she translates her pro hockey experience to Olympic preparation for indoor track cycling. Here are your hosts, Addie and Cowie.
Welcome to the Beauty Sports Desk. We are coming to you live from Edmonton, Alberta. We are once again on the road. I'm starting to like these on location podcasting setups where we can kind of come in and check out the place and see how it's all going. And a couple of beers never hurt. Hey there, Cowie.
I feel like this is what we've gotten good at, actually. The beers and the podcast. There's not much else that we've done well in terms of sometimes getting set up and things like that, but a trusty beer in hand, great company, you and I hanging out in a new hotel, still doing some coaching. I think the pod is going to live on the road more than we think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The more we get into this whole thing and have awesome people like Erica Rieder, who is sitting with us today, who we texted, found out she's in Edmonton and said, hey, so are we. And we'd love to chat with you about everything. So thank you so much for coming, Erica Rieder.
No problem.
I love that I needed to call you Erica Rieder. Full name, all podcast.
You gotta get the middle name?
Yeah, middle name. So for the listeners, tell people why you're in Edmonton.
Yeah, why am I in Edmonton? Oh my God. So basically, I've been a hockey player my entire life, since the age of 4 until now I'm 25. Played university hockey at the University of Manitoba. After that, went to Sweden, played 3 years, and now the dream is the Olympics. And I knew long ago that it wouldn't probably happen with hockey. And so there's this program called the RBC Training Ground, and basically it's a combine sort of that tests endurance, speed. They do all sorts of like physical testing just across Canada, and they look for future Olympians basically. And I've done that program a number of times, and through that I got connected with Cycling Canada and Rowing Canada. And so now this summer I'm here training for track cycling.
No kidding. So track cycling, let's talk about it. What is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said too the first time I got here. Okay. Track cycling. You cycle around an oval, a track, and it's banked on the sides.
Okay. Yeah. I'm picturing it from the Olympics now.
Okay. Yep. You're on a bike, a fixed gear bike. So you have one gear. You only go as fast as you can pedal that gear. You wear a skin suit. That is what we would wear under our hockey equipment, but now that is the uniform. So they literally call it a skin suit. You wear a helmet, glasses, you're on this fixed gear bike, and you have no brakes. Yes. Lovely. Basically, they can get up to 60, 70 kilometers an hour, and your feet are clipped into the pedals, and you got straps over top of that, and you're just going. So basically, there's... Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, so... the sport, there's a number of different races. I mean, I'm still learning. I've been here 6 weeks now. But I'm in the discipline of sprint track cycling. And so there's team sprint. There's 3 of you. First person goes 1 lap. Second person goes 2 laps. Third person goes 3 laps. It's against the clock, basically. Fastest one. The match sprint is basically 1v1. And you're just going for 3 laps. First one to cross the finish line wins. It's called a flying 200. That's sort of like the qualifying event to basically place you for the match sprint round. And so you build up 2 laps at the top of the track, up the top of the banking, 2 laps, and then you go flying from the top down into the corner and around. You do 200 meters across the finish line, and then that's against the clock, and you see how fast you go.
Let's talk about so you come to Edmonton 6 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Did you used to ride a bike a lot?
Yeah. So that is one thing. I come from a big cycling family. My parents actually, after they got married, my dad had some idea and he thought, yeah, it would be cool to go on a road trip or a bike trip, whatever, from Regina to Halifax. What? Yeah, so Regina to Halifax, my mom and dad went, pedal biked. I have to make that.
Oh, yeah.
Pedal biked.
Yep.
I think it took them 11 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Tented every night. Yeah, I think their budget was like $11 a day, maybe. Something. maybe it was 21, something like that, but like, come on.
My God. Okay, so biking's in the family.
Yeah.
Your parents are nuts.
Yeah.
And maybe so are you, kind of, in a way, because you decide to take up a new sport, come to Edmonton. Mm-hmm. I just want you to tell us about that very first day you get here. Mm-hmm. You get on a bike, a 1-speed bike where you're strapped in, there's no brakes, and you're riding on an inclined, slopey, slant ramp looking thing around in a circle.
Yeah. Well, I will say my very first experience on the track, I actually had the opportunity to go to Toronto. That was sort of through RBC training ground. I was doing the qualifications again. And that is where their high performance center is in Milton. And so that's the indoor track and that's super smooth and beautiful. So anyways, that was my very first experience. So you walk out of the tunnel and you look around and it seems like a 90-degree angle, but it's not, but it's like super sloped and you're like, holy. So anyways, I didn't know anything. I didn't know you always turn left. I didn't know that. So there was some young kids that were doing it was their last day of some program they were doing. And the coach was like, you're going to see them do something like they never get to do. And they went right around the track. And I was like, well, it looks normal to me. Whatever way you go. So anyway, so that was my first try. So, and they have to teach you the safety of it because, you're going pretty quick and you have to go a certain speed so that you don't fall down the banking. So you have to keep your legs moving. And you're on a fixed gear bike, so that also means you don't coast. So you got to keep your legs moving, otherwise you get kicked off and kicked forward. And so they're like, yeah, whatever you do, just keep your feet moving. And I'm like,
sure. Yep.
Yep. Okay. So anyways, they start you, there's a flat part on the bottom of the track and then it banks up. And so they start you just do a couple laps on the flat and then, okay, the black line is the lowest line. And they're like, okay, now just get up to the black. And then they eventually get you up higher and higher and then faster and faster. And so I came out of that session super excited and I thought it was super, super cool. And it was like adrenaline the whole time. So that was a really good experience. So then my first day here, it's an outdoor track and it was built, I'm going to get this wrong, like the 78 something games here in Edmonton. Outdoor track, concrete, bumpy. So
I don't think that's a good word that goes with what you're talking about here.
With no brakes, strapped in one gear.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is fast on a bumpy concrete.
Right.
Yeah. So I got out there. It was a little bit windy too. And so I got out there and I did just like a couple laps and I was like, what the heck? And my coach, actually, I talked to him that night and he was like, so I have to ask, like, are you thinking like, what the heck did I get myself into? And I did have that thought, a bit of that thought of, holy, like, this is not like Milton, Ontario. That's where the training center is. But so anyways, but it was good. That was day one. It was okay. And it's gone up from there. So
that's amazing. Classic though. Hey, get you on the Rolls Royce of the track world and then send you to your own training ground. So one thing I do want to do here, because there's so many different elements that you mentioned in your intro of your hockey and everything. I actually want to go back to your hockey career. We're at a hockey tournament. There's a lot of intensity in the air. It's a big female tournament. When you were playing, like when you were getting ready to come to U of M, and a little backstory for the listeners, I was coaching Rieder. I've known her for a long time. She came to U of M on a recruitment trip, and I was the one that went on a walk and told her U of M is the place to be. And you ended up coming. So with everything that you've gone through, can you actually just go back a little bit and talk about your journey from U of M actually going to Modo?
Modo. Yeah.
Modo?
Yeah, Modo.
Got it?
Yeah. Yeah. So U of M, I always say like that was one of the best decisions I ever made to go to that program. I mean, we ended up winning nationals my 4th year. But incredible group, incredible coaching, just amazing time. Yeah. So then moving on, I knew I wasn't ready to be done hockey. And so I thought Maggie Litchfield Med had gone over to Sweden too. And so I thought, okay, maybe, yeah, this is a possibility. So I sent out some video and some emails to a couple different teams in Sweden. And I knew Sweden was probably the place to be. And there's other leagues in Europe to go, but Sweden seemed like the most competitive. And I wanted to get better as a hockey player. I know there's a lot of girls that can go over to Sweden and they're looking for the travel part of it and then to play hockey on the side, but I really wanted hockey to be the main focus. So sent out some emails and Modo replied back, and it was a pretty good offer. I mean, I didn't really know, I couldn't compare it to anything, but yeah, it was like pretty good. And yeah, set off, and I think it was mid-July maybe for August training camp started, and yeah, that turned into the best experience as well. My 3 years there, I mean, it started out sort of rough. I went there, I think I won my first game December 23rd into the season. A lot of things happened. I got there, I think I played my first 3 games, and then I injured my knee in practice, and we won those first 3 games. And then I was out for, I think, 8 to 10 weeks. And during that time, the team started to lose and lose more and lose more. And I think we ended up losing 14 in a row. Oof. Yeah, and I came back and we just continued to lose. And so, yeah, I won my first game in Sweden, December 23rd, nail biter against the last team in the league.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, so anyways, the year, it was a good group of girls. I was surprised actually because it's like, you're going to Sweden, you're going to play pro. And a lot of the girls on the team actually were still in high school.
No kidding.
Yeah, a lot of them. And especially with the Modo program too, they really look to develop the young Swedish players. And so we did have quite a few more younger girls than maybe other teams did. But it was a good group of girls. But yeah, it just didn't click that year. Yeah, we didn't make playoffs for the first time in program's history. It was like... tough year, but so there was I think a number of girls. The one girl, she's been captain for a while, and she was like, "I can't believe you came back." And yeah, I decided to come back for another year. I believed in the program, and I liked what they offered to athletes coming over to get better as hockey players, and that was my main goal. So they call it Hockey Gym, but it's like an academy sort of for the high school girls to. They have, morning ice, and then they play with our team, but then they have just extra like school sessions or whatever. And so we were allowed to go to those morning skills sessions. And so I really liked that because, and they had a shooting tent in the back of the rink and all these things that they offered. So, I really felt like I got better as a hockey player, and that was my main objective going over there. And so, yeah, we continued to get better as a team. The next 2 years we lost out in quarterfinals, but yeah, we were a really strong group, and yeah, it was a great experience.
No kidding. That's super cool. Mm-hmm. So you spent 3 years in Sweden, mm-hmm. and then what changes? What happens? You had made a decision, or someone comes and knocks and says, "Hey, Erica Rieder, come do this thing."
So the RBC training ground, I did that now. I've done that 4 times, I think. It started, I think, when I was in university. One of my trainers kind of mentioned it, and I didn't know anything about it. So I went and did the qualifications. Nothing really came of it. The next year I did, and I ended up making the final. So basically with the program is anybody across Canada can go to the qualifications. You do vertical jump. You do like a strength test. You do the beep test for endurance. You do a 10-meter sprint. And I don't know, something else probably. And they take all those scores and then they pick a top 100 out of all of the people that tried out. So that year I made the final, but that was my first year that I went to Sweden, and I thought, well,
Right.
I have a couple of years to maybe try again. So, so then I think it was last summer I saw, even with COVID and everything, they were doing virtual submission. And so I think I made it I saw it like the week before the deadline. So I did my beep tests out in Sweden and sent in the videos and everything. And I made the final. And by that time last year, I was 24, and their cutoff is 14 to 25. And so I was like, well, this is my last chance. So I made the final. And so I asked my coach if I could fly back to Canada for the final. I missed 2 games on the road. He was super supportive of it. He knew, this was my dream to go to the Olympics.
Right.
So I flew home to Saskatoon, Regina then drove. And did the final. I tested pretty well, and then flew back to Sweden and waited for the results. Anyways.
Not stressful at all.
Yeah, it was a crazy trip back, just insane. So anyway, but I did get a lot of contacts through that process. And so, that was when cycling and rowing talked to me. And ultimately I went with cycling.
Yeah. And was it kind of an obvious choice for you, or did you actually really research rowing? Because talking before, clearly you have cycling in your background. Like, did you really look into rowing, or was it kind of like, oh my gosh, cycling reached out?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Cycling was number one, I think,
sure.
from the get-go. It just felt way more natural to me. I've been on a bike since forever. So I said, I've been on a bike way more than I've ever been in a boat. So I think I'll be better at this one. But, there was ups and downs of both sports. Cycling, there's the team sprint. It's sort of, but rowing is a lot more of a team sport. You can have the 8-person boat or whatever. And coming from hockey, I love that
Totally
part of the sport. So, I don't know, but I think I just felt more inclined to the cycling. I didn't ever actually get a chance to try rowing, so I can't say whether or not I liked it or didn't. And, maybe in the future, if I do try, we'll see.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see. I love it. Because are you going to jump in and tell everybody that you biked to training camp one year, or are you going to let me tell that story? Which I'll start it. You finish it.
Okay.
U of M training camp, end of August. Everyone, is getting ready to show up at Max Bell Center. Word on the street, Erica Rieder from Regina, Saskatchewan, biking to training camp. Why drive? Why fly? When you could bike with her dad, which I thought was very, very cool. So what the hell made you do that?
So I explained before, my parents went Regina to Halifax, and I thought that was so cool. And, I love to challenge myself. And so I thought, well, why not? And my dad was super into it too. And so he kind of pushed for it. And so I think it was the year before too, we were going to do it, and it just didn't work out with timing. And so we're like, hey, this is my last training camp. Let's go. We're going to do it. And so, my mom packed up the car. We had specific spots along the way. I think our longest day was over 100K. That day took us maybe 10 hours. We'd stop every 5 to 10K. 3 out of the 5 nights or 3 out of the 4 nights we tented. But I loved the grind of it. And I loved just, this is what I'm going to do. And so, we left Regina. And went, I think, 5 days, 4 nights, made it to Winnipeg, and then the next day started training camp.
You can't make shit like that up. Did your mom pull over on the side of the road and get out of the car and tent with you?
So the first night my sister met us, wherever, I think we were in Elkhorn. No, that's too far. I don't know. It was like some town in Saskatchewan. And so she tented with us the first night, and then she drove back to Regina, and then my mom got in the car and then continued along the way. And so then, she tented the next 2 nights. We made it to Brandon. We stayed in a hotel in Brandon. I think, and Portage. But yeah, no, and she would drive up a ways, and then she'd get out of the car and be the cheering squad and taking photos.
So cute.
Yeah, so that was really good. And
You
we
hear
could,
this? Like, the Rieders are family goals. Like, I'm not joking around here. That is family goals.
Yeah, so, and it was a good experience for me and my dad to do it too. And I mean, he was 50 some at that point, and so he was, I would just go, like, and I just, this is it, we're going. And funny story, the car we have, I think it's from the US, and so it's miles and then kilometers on the inside. And my dad said, okay, go 5K up the road. Like, he was pretty tired at that point, but go 5K, that's a good amount. And she looked and she said, yeah, okay, 5, but it was 5 miles. And so he's biking and biking and biking. And he was usually, most of the time we were together, but usually he was a ways behind me. And so I would get to the pit stop and I'd have a good break. And then he'd roll up and I'd be like, okay, ready to go. And he was like, oh my God. So anyways, but we both made it to Winnipeg in good form. And yeah, now it's a good story to tell.
A good memory.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Here's my biking comparison. Alicia Cowison, Saris, Manitoba. Our farm is 8.5 miles from town. My parents would let me pack a backpack and ride my backwards braking, like when you had it was purple, white tires. I was like 7. Packed Cheerios, a book,
Nice.
and water in my backpack. My parents, this is how trustworthy that in small towns, they just would drive down the highway periodically. They'd see me pulled over in the ditch having a snack, trying to get, and I get to, there's a farm, you basically go like, I don't know, 7 miles down the road, and then you turn onto gravel. And there's a farmyard that's half a mile from our yard. And it started absolutely torrential downpouring when I made it to that. And you want to know how pissed I was when my dad pulls up and throws my bike in the back of the truck? Just let me finish. Back brake bike all day adventure. Like, oh God. So I admire that you would do that with your dad. I think it's super, super cool. Super indicative of that. You're clearly just competitive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
Big time. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And we talk a lot, and so you're a university athlete, you go play pro, and then you make the decision to keep going as a cyclist. Mm-hmm. When you look at the mindset piece of being a competitor, how do you, like, honestly, what part of your brain do you go into that's just like, it's beast mode and it's all or nothing? Because the one thing I will say is being on the ice with you, and as a coach, sometimes you have to encourage kids. It was never, ever needed to be encouraged with you. It was like all out, every single rep. Don't even worry about me. I am full tilty every single time. Yeah. Is that something you feel like you have to practice, or is it something that you feel like it's just in you and you just go?
Just go.
Yeah, just full send.
Yeah, I think back to my hockey career, and I'll be the first to admit, I was not the most skilled player. Finesse wasn't really part of my game. I was just big. I could play my position pretty well, and I liked the contact and I liked the grind and just working hard. And so that got me pretty far because I would go all out all the time, and coming into cycling now, it's interesting because it's very different training in the sense of, hockey practice, you get out there, you get your heart rate up a little bit, and then you kind of spike here and there, just different drills, but you're pretty constant up there with the heart rate. And with track cycling, it's very much like all out 100% and then rest 10 minutes and then do that 4 times, and that's the workout. And so, the first time I got there, the first week, I mean, of course, they're teaching you the safety part of it and everything, but I was looking for a workout.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm not competing. I feel like I'm in kindergarten. Like,
right.
And I get it, though, because I said, like, you can't send someone out on the ice and make them do like an on ice beep test or some sort of skating test when they don't know how to stop. Like it's not going to work. And so he really had to, tell me you have to be safe out there and you have to know the skills before you can go 100%. And so that was interesting. But, the mindset thing, I've always been super competitive. And with track cycling now, it is, he explains to us, if you do a rep at 80%, maybe you're getting fitter, but you're not getting faster. And that's the sport, is you need to get faster. Your top end speed needs to get faster. So every single rep needs to be 100%. And so that's also an interesting thing because, I get out there and we're like warming up and doing all this stuff. And then we get off and we change our gears and then we get on. And it's like, you got to switch into that and be like, okay, this is all out like right now. And sometimes I still, with hockey, sometimes you get in a drill and you have a couple reps to, get into it. You're still competitive and whatever it is. But, with cycling, it's, you got to go. And like, you're talking about tenths of a second differentiation between you and the next person. And so, it's like, but the competitiveness, I think for me is what has gotten me to this point. And I think, it's just leaning into that now.
We talk so much about the word compete with young female athletes and how it needs to be embraced way more. We hear, we're in this for fun. We're in this to make friends and all those kind of conversations. And I love this because you're a perfect example of how being competitive is fun.
It is.
It's so fun when you, like, even when you say when you get off and you're switching gears, like, what does that, like, on you're literally switching gears on your bike in between reps?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So that was like weird to me. I was like, what do you mean switch gears? And literally like unscrew, take off the chain ring, put on a different chain ring, and then usually go up in gear. So you start in a lower gear. So you're spinning your legs a little bit more at the start. And then you'll go into a bigger gear, and that's when you're driving through and you got to get more power. And so, but the compete thing, especially with track cycling, is, it is an individual sport at the end of the day. So you're not competing necessarily against anybody else. You're also you're competing against yourself. And can you be better than the day before or the week before or your last time that you did? So.
And that was one of the things that I was just going to ask you, because I've watched you essentially beast mode your way through all of CanWest hockey. And is that a big change for you, going from competing against people to now essentially competing against yourself? Because at the end of the day, hockey really is a competition of yourself and getting better every single day. So was that a big switch for you, or did it feel natural almost?
I'm 6 weeks into it now, but it's interesting. I've always been very competitive with myself too, and I'm big time perfectionist, which sometimes is a hindrance, but very competitive with myself. So I think that will help me going forward with track cycling. But at the same time, I also have to be realistic about where I'm at. And not comparing myself with 6 weeks of experience to someone that's been in for 5 years, So that's been an interesting sort of journey. Still working on that because, my whole life has been a team sport, and it's like leaning on your teammates. Maybe you're having an off day and you get out there but someone makes a good play or someone gets a goal and you get the team fired up and you're in it and you're part of the team. Whereas now it's like, it's all on you and it's all on your own numbers. So, we're getting there. Yeah.
It's a massive shift. What does your week here look like? This is what you're doing. This is the commitment. This is the goal, is the Olympics.
Yeah.
So what is an average week? What's your training schedule? What does that look like for you on a regular basis?
Yeah. So we're on the track 3 to 4 times a week. 2 to 3 hours probably at a time. 3 days a week we have weights. There's not a set time on that, but hour and a half maybe around there. And then maybe on Sundays or 1 or 2 days, you're on a road ride. So you're just easy. There's the sprinters and then there's the endurance riders, and the endurance riders, their training's like 3-hour road rides, and we're like max 90 minutes. Easy. So pretty much every day, there's something to do with track. We get usually 1 day off and then back at it. But yeah, it's pretty steady.
And then what's the timeline? So we're 6 weeks in. What is the timeline?
So Paris 2024 are the next Olympics. And it's so scary to say, that's my goal. That's my goal, to be an Olympian. And it's a quick timeline, and I know that for sure. The provincials, we have Alberta provincials in Calgary, August 6th and 7th. So that'll be sort of my first official sort of racing. And then the goal right now to perform really well is at Nationals, which is September 1st, 2nd, 3rd in Milton, just outside of Toronto. So pretty track. Yeah, they're really nice. So once they get there, that's sort of, the national team will be there and the national team coaches. So then that's sort of my place to maybe prove myself and see if I'm good enough to maybe then make it out there to start training with them.
Wow, that's fascinating. Is there anybody from the RBC training ground that is with you, or that was picked up in a different sport, or what was that kind of camaraderie in going through that whole process?
Yeah, so right now there's one girl that's been, she was selected by RBC through Cycling Canada, and she's been in the sport just over a year, I think. And so we train every day together. And then there's another girl that also started at the same time I did, and pretty much are all our RBC. Actually, the whole entire national team for the sprint girls are RBC alumni. So they all came from different sports.
Stop.
Yeah. So one's a soccer player, gold medalist. One had, I think, cycling background. One's a volleyball player. One did track and many other sports. What
was your report? What was the thing that they said that you would be very good in cycling? Was it your strength within your vert?
Yeah, I had a pretty good vertical jump. That was always one of my better tests, in the gym, was vertical jump. And then my watt bike score was really good. So they were like,
maybe we'll just skedaddle you over there and see what's going on.
Maybe check it out.
Are they who do you train with every day? What's her name?
Erin Watchman and Mackenzie Bertrand, I think is her last name.
And where are they from?
Erin is from Edmonton. Mackenzie, I think originally from Toronto, but she moved to Edmonton a couple of years ago.
I love the conversation of athletes moving to train, because there's something different about being a part of a sport when you move there to play. When you went to Sweden, you were going to Sweden to be a pro hockey player. You're going there because that's where you needed to be. And have you found that adjustment from moving from place to place hard? You moved from Regina to Manitoba, Manitoba to Sweden, Sweden to now Edmonton.
Not really, to be honest. Regina to Winnipeg was my first big move. And I was 17 and I cried the first 3 nights by myself. But, since then, I think I've adjusted to moving. I spent 5 years in Winnipeg and that was a big part of my life. And then I left and I went to Sweden and oh my gosh. And so I was nervous about the language. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone on the team, but I find moving to different places where you don't know anyone and no one knows you is really refreshing, and you can be anybody you want to be and you meet so many cool people and it's just such a good experience. So, and now moving to Edmonton for cycling, it's a whole new sport. And so, I came back from Sweden I left there knowing that I wouldn't be going back. The option is still there. The the couple months after being back have not been the easiest emotionally and mentally, because, you know, I'm leaving behind hockey, which has been my identity for 24 years. And so, yeah, there's still moments where I'm like, yeah, I could go back. Like, I miss it. And the season isn't even happening right now. It's still off season for everyone else. But I know that not pursuing the Olympics would be harder, I think, even though it's pretty hard right now. But, you know, just working through those emotions and knowing that, yeah, if I ever do want to go back to hockey, I mean, I'm still training and staying in shape. Yeah, I'm not on the ice right now, but I think, you know, my coach has been super awesome with Modo and said, you know, there's a spot here if you do ever want to come back. So, you know, that's really nice to hear. But, yeah, just the process of moving on from hockey has been like crazy.
That's a whole thing.
Crazy
it is like when you say it is your identity.
Yeah.
It is the one thing that you, have had for as long as you remember. And I don't think it's something that we don't talk about enough, and how to transition out of it. Do you think it has helped the transition to have this focus of cycling now?
Yeah, you know, I thought when they told me that I'd be competing at nationals, which is September, I thought, okay, that at least I have something to work towards when hockey season will be starting. At least I'll have something to focus on. But yeah, like I think having this other goal of mine has really helped with the process, because I think going from hockey to the workforce or nothing would be insanely hard. And, you know, I've talked to past teammates, and even years have passed, and it's still super hard to not be a hockey player. And, you know, you were like amazing in university and but whatever happened and you didn't continue, and you're still grieving that part of yourself and like your athletic career. So, you know, yeah, like it's interesting for me to talk about it, because it's like, yeah, I'm grieving that side of my identity that's sort of lost, but I'm continuing to be an athlete and still pursue the athlete side of me. But yeah, leaving hockey is not easy.
You can hear it. Yeah. And I think we can all identify with that. For, you know, leading up to, so you said August 6th, right? Mm-hmm, is provincials. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So have you, like, where are we at now? What's the...
Good question.
You said I always want to improve my numbers. Like,
yeah. So, you know, we're training every day. We're getting faster, which is good. Yeah, you know, there's different types of events to do. You know, to be honest, like I asked today, I was like, what am I going to be doing at nationals? Like, I don't even know. Like, what? Oh, you're going to be doing everything. Oh, okay. What is everything? Yeah. So yeah, you know, I'm in a good spot. You know, I'm a couple of seconds off still, like the standards for the national team and whatever. And today, you know, I look at the numbers. I'm like, well, that's like still 3 or 4 seconds off. Like, that's horrible. It's like, yeah, but I do need to remind myself I've done this for 6 weeks. Like, I get it, but it's like, well, if I'm not winning, I'm losing. And
if you ain't first, you're last.
yeah. So basically we're improving. We're going to go to provincials, and a lot of track cycling, people don't realize, but it's a lot of tactics and strategy. And when you go out there 1v1 for 3 laps, half of the lap has to be a steady walking pace. And then after that, you do what you want. You go high on the track, you go low, but there's strategy, of course. You don't want to be low if someone's high. It's like reading what they're doing, but you need a plan of what you're doing. So what kind of move are you going to make? So it's not necessarily like on the gun, you're going 3 laps hard and first one across. You're going slow, you're going down. One thing he said to me, he goes, yeah, there's contact. And I said, what?
Hold up.
I said, my first reaction was, what? And then I was like, damn right.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, he said, yeah, there's contact. And, you know, you can get up to 65 kilometers an hour and someone will come down on you and you want to hold your line or you want to hold your position. So yeah, you lean your shoulder into them. I was like, okay.
Alrighty.
So yeah, it's just, it's hard to explain to someone or like anybody that doesn't know the sport. And I had no idea about the sport. So, like listening to people talk about track cycling, I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And so, I mean, I think for me too, right now, going through this process, I need to maybe start putting up more videos or things to help people learn, because especially the girls in Sweden that sort of knew my plan of transitioning to track cycling, they're like, what the heck is that? And
for sure.
Yeah, just for people to learn the sport and bring more awareness to the sport, I think will be exciting. So.
Oh, absolutely. When I found out, it was one of our friends, Sharmi, was saying, Rieder's in Edmonton for track cycling. I was like, of course she is. Where else would she be? Because I absolutely love it. When you talk about the strategic side of track cycling, do you watch video?
Yeah. So far we've been doing 1 day a week of video, and he'll show us races and he'll say, okay, watch what this one does, watch what this one does. That split second that they weren't watching, that's where she lost the race. And I'm like, what?
Is it crazy for your mind to think, like you even just said the whatever of, I'm 3 seconds behind. That's horrible. I'm like 3 seconds.
I know. Yeah.
What? Sounds pretty good. you know, has that process like been tough to kind of transition to of like you're literally thinking like about
tenths of a second. Yeah, and it's so like with hockey, that's not even in there at all.
Not even close.
Not
even close.
So yeah, it's very specific to the numbers. But one thing he's talking about tactics and strategy and everything, and he said the best tactic in the world is to be the fastest. And he said, and there's a lot of riders, and if you know the rider that you're going up against, and like sometimes people are very secretive of what gear they're in, because it depends on, if you're in a smaller gear, you could pull away and go super fast because your acceleration is faster. So you could make a gap, and that could be sort of a tactic for you. If my coach is listening to this, he's probably like, what are you talking about? But yeah, if you're in a bigger gear, it takes you longer to wind up, but then you can probably go faster if someone else is spinning their legs too much. But anyways, he said the best tactic is to be the fastest. And so if you're going up against a rider that's, is much faster, because when you do your flying 200, which is your qualifying event, basically, just to see, that ranks you. If you know that their flying 200 is much faster than yours, half a second faster, you need to do something during the race that will tire them out or will be a surprise to them, so that in that final stretch when they're trying to sprint, if they're faster, they will probably outsprint you to the line if you're not doing anything crazy. So
psychological warfare on the track.
Yeah.
Did you notice that she said much faster, half a second faster? What? Pardon?
Yeah.
Oh, who is your coach?
Alex Ungaro. He went to the, 84 Olympics or something. Super knowledgeable. So far, great coach. He actually reminds me of John Rempel, U of M hockey coach. Super knowledgeable. You can look at a bike, just you're sitting on there. He knows the format, like move your seat up half a centimeter. Like that'll help. Like, and like we do watt bike. The watt bike at the training center is broken, so it doesn't have the monitor on it to see like any numbers. But he'll just sit there and he'll listen, and he'll tell you like, was that hard enough? Or he'll like sort of know the number. Like what?
Yeah, you've been here a minute, eh, bud?
Yeah. So yeah, he's been around the block. He's been to Olympics himself. He's raced a lot. He has an answer for everything, and yeah, it's really good coach. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It is fascinating. Okay, so. Oh, Jesus, I had a thought in my head. Oh, you said Kelsey Mitchell?
Mm-hmm. Every interview I do, I'd name drop her. She's gonna be like, oh my God. Yeah, so she's a big name in Canadian track cycling because she was a soccer player at U of A 5 years ago, and I think 5 years ago, and then went on to win gold at the Olympics, at the past Summer Olympics. So yeah, seeing her on top of the podium, I'm like, well, maybe I could do that.
Me?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So she's one of the best in the world now, and so a big inspiration for a lot of us coming up and trying out the sport, and yeah, really good ambassador for the sport too. So yeah.
Super cool. Does she train out of Milton?
Yeah, she's in Milton. Yeah. So, but she's actually from Edmonton. So I heard maybe she's coming back maybe prior to the nationals or something. So maybe we'll get to train, and, being able to train with an Olympic gold medalist, and just seeing her speed and her tactics and what she does, and will be super beneficial for us. Yeah.
Totally. This is quite a random question, I guess. But when you start, you're strapped into your bike. There's no brakes. Is this like, did someone hold your bike?
Yeah. So they have a setup. So at official races, it depends on the race, I guess. But let's say a team sprint. So there's 3 of you at the start line, and then the first one is strapped into this machine. I don't know. It holds your bike somehow. And then the clock counts down to 0, and then you pedal out of it. Yeah.
And you just get going.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. I don't even know the lingo or anything about the sport. But yeah, so position 1, the first rider, they're doing 1 lap. So they get out at the start gate and they go 1 lap, and then the second one goes 2, and then the third one goes 3. And then, it's against the clock. But yeah, so on that. But on other races, your coach wheels you up to the line and they hold your bike. And then, so a 1v1, your coaches will be holding your bike, and then you wheel away. So
Wheel away. Wheel away. That's absolutely amazing. Well, Rieder, this has been an absolute pleasure. And, you mentioned about raising awareness for the sport and all those things. So as we kind of wrap up here, where can people find you? Where can people watch your journey? And how do we help girls get more into track cycling?
Yeah. Actually here at the track in Edmonton, they have Learn to Ride programs. I think they have a drop-in Saturday mornings. But they do have programs. And a lot of people that have come to the track, I sit there, and everyone that comes, I look at them and I'm like, oh, they must have been riding for years. But no, 2 weeks. Oh, this is my first time. Like, a lot of new riders, because a lot of people don't know about the sport. And so that's also nice to have, such newbies out there with you. And you're like, yeah, I also have no idea what I'm doing.
Same to you.
Yeah. So, anyways, but for me, I'm going to try and post more on social media. So I guess my Instagram is Erica_Rieder. And I'm not really on any other social media, but I'll probably post mostly on Instagram. But I think the more that people know about the sport, I think the more they'll be intrigued about it, and then maybe get on a bike.
Well, you caught us. I can't wait to watch some track cycling videos and be like, oh, that's what Rieder was talking about.
Yeah, it's one thing to see it on videos, but it's one thing to also experience it. So if you're in a city with a track and you can go, a lot of them will have just rental bikes, and you can go. And my family was here this past week, and my sister is quite more timid than I am.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. And my parents have been cyclists their whole life, but to get on a fixed gear bike is a little bit nerve-wracking. And so you have to learn how to roll down the hill. And then, my dad got up to the red line, which is sort of halfway up, and then the blue line, and he was going pretty good. My mom wouldn't even try it. And my sister took 30 minutes to get off the rail down to the flat. So it's interesting, and it's an experience to try it, but just to go out there and roll around. You don't have to go to the top of the banking or whatever, but yeah, just to try it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Rieder, thank you. Thank you so much for making the effort to come here today. And to be honest, I just want to say thank you for being you and not stopping. You have full send, and I've loved coaching you, watching your career, and I know that track cycling is better having you involved with it. So thank you so much for being you, taking the time to talk to us, and we wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Producer Adam, final words. I'm going to keep this short and simple because this is my 987th time trying this. Addie and Cowie forgot to do the outro this week because they got a little tipsy. So I'm doing it. Go follow our socials. It's super simple. All of the socials we have are down in the description, whether that be on our YouTube channel or on streaming services. They're always there. Go follow our Instagram. We just hit 500 followers on Instagram, and we're still trying to gain some subscribers on YouTube. So please, please, please go subscribe to our YouTube channels. That's all for me. See you next week.